Welcome, this is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more Factorio with Rotype. And we have a number of new things to take a look at, most of it going to be involving, and it would help if I bring up the information for you guys, the yellow science, which is new, and I am seeing a number of new things here, and Rotype went ahead and set all this stuff ahead of time, so I'll go ahead and have him walk through the process.
Right, so with the new, or I guess it's not new anymore, but with the 0.15 update, we get all of these new science packs. One of them is this yellow or gold, whatever color you want to call it, science pack, also known as high-tech science pack. And as you can see here, it requires a lot of kind of fancier things, two of which, as Mouse mentioned, we haven't really talked about, we haven't seen before. So we'll go through, I'm kind of looking at this now, but I'll go all the way back to the beginning just to start at the beginning, I suppose. The first thing, the first ingredient is the copper cable, pretty basic. You know, we've been making these for electronic circuits for a long time. So I just made some copper cable factories up here. The next thing is batteries. And we've made this a few times for a couple other things. You see over here, we've been making them for our robot frames. So here it needs batteries as well. So I just set up a couple battery factories. And the first new item that this science pack requires, but is also used in a number of other high-tech type later game technologies, is this processing unit, I believe it's called. I always just call it blue circuits, but it's technically called a processing unit. And it is pretty similar to the other circuits, and it's actually a little bit simpler to build, although it can be expensive because, as you see here, it needs a lot of both green and red circuits. So it needs 20 green circuits and 2 red circuits in addition to this sulfuric acid coming in. So these can be pretty expensive, but then, I mean, that's the recipe. What are you going to do about it? You get these blue circuits, which, as I said, are utilized in this gold science, but they're also used for a lot of other kind of fancier items. I don't know that we've unlocked many recipes that require them yet, but as we start getting a little bit deeper into the tech tree, we'll start using them a little bit more. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think we have any recipes that require them other than the gold science, but we'll get there. So it's basically just another kind of intermediate product that you can make and is used in a lot of other things.
Can I throw a question in real quick before you go on to the next bit?
Yeah, of course.
Because you have, was it 20 green circuits that need to be used to make the blue one? Is there a reason why you would need maybe more speed than these yellow, or is it just because we're not going to need that much of the blue circuit? We don't really care so much.
Well, so let's see. Hopefully I remember all the math right, but a yellow inserter, if I remember correctly, completes a swing in a half of a second.
Mm-hmm.
So it will grab, and if you push, I believe a long time ago we talked about the bonuses button in the top right, the one with the plus. So if we push that, we can see inserter capacity bonus. It has all the different inserters, 1. So what that tells me is my yellow inserter can pick up 2 total items because it can normally do 1, and we got a bonus of 1. So I know that my yellow inserters can do 2 items every half second. And then you say, let's see, so a processing unit needs 20 items every 10 seconds. So what is that?
Okay.
20 items divided by 10. You know, so you can do a bunch of math basically and say how quick does my inserter need to be to give it all the items given my stack size bonus and all these other different, all the different factors. Usually what happens when you have something that takes 10 seconds to craft is you're usually fine with the yellow inserters. If you need more, you can go up to the blue inserters, the fast ones. And if you really need more, you can go to the stack inserters, which again, if you're on that bonus page, you'll see that right now stack inserter capacity bonus is 3. And if we keep doing the research, that gets up to like 15 or something ludicrous. So if you really need a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, I believe the maximum, like I said, is something like 15 or 16 items per half second swing of the stack inserter. So you gotta have your options of which one you want to use.
Okay, well, I honestly don't recall going over the bonuses. If we did, I have forgotten about it, so it was good that we reinforced that. All right.
Yeah, so that's how and often what I do if I don't remember is I just start with yellow, and if I come back and look at it and detect that it's not getting enough stuff, just upgrade to blue, and then if the blue is not good enough, then upgrade to green. I just work my way up the chain. Okay, so the next thing, this new item, is speed modules, and they recently changed the graphic for them, and I think they look a lot better now than they used to. So this is one of the 3 different types of modules you can make. And let me actually hook them up here. Actually, they just need an output, so I will give them an output here so we can, need some power. So that's what they look like on the belt, and I'll pick up a few just to wave them around in my hand. Now these are obviously required for gold science. It's just a regular ingredient in the gold science, so that's why I set them up. But modules are also things that you can put in machines to make them operate a little differently. So speed modules will, as the name suggests, make them run faster. So if you open up your crafting menu and you go into there under production, you'll see the 3 different colors of the 3 different modules down on the bottom. And so you'll see speed modules are blue, efficiency modules are green, and productivity modules are, I don't know, whatever color you'd call that, some kind of yellowy orange color. And if you hover over each of them, you'll see what they will do to a machine that they're being put in. So the speed modules, you'll see energy consumption plus 50%, speed plus 20%. And so that is per module that you put in a machine, you get that percentage of increase in those things. So efficiency module, you'll see energy consumption minus 30%. And then productivity module, productivity module is a little bit interesting. It does all of these things: energy consumption, speed, productivity, and pollution. But productivity is something that's a little confusing. You know, you think, well, what does that exactly mean? And I'll actually make one and just put it, it's going to take me a while. So I'll make one and put it in a machine and we can look at it. But really what a productivity module does is it basically gives you a free item every so many crafts. So, okay, here mine's done, and I will put it in this top machine here making speed modules, and this will be an example of what you do with modules. You just, if you have one in your hand, you just open up your assembling machine, and under the ingredients and under the progress bar, you'll see these little empty spaces. You just stick it in there. You can't put it. So another thing you have to know is productivity modules can only go in certain recipes. So you can't use a productivity module on the speed module creation. Let's see if I can do it over here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so if you have your alt info on, you'll see that little module underneath this machine's recipe. And that's just to show you, hey, I got a module in here. Now, if you open that machine up, you see now there are 2 black bars going across instead of just the one normal. And if I take this out, hopefully it'll start producing again. It's got to pick up its material. But once it does, I'll just help it along. There we go. Let's see if this, so you see that second bar is ever so slightly increasing in this pink, magenta, whatever that color is. Mm-hmm. When that bar fills all the way up, you get an extra item. You get an extra processing unit in this case.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
How, so it and people have done all the math on which items you're supposed to use this, productivity modules on, and which item you're supposed to use speed modules on, all these different things. Obviously, you can set them up however you want. But that's basically what a productivity module will do, is it'll keep increasing the second progress bar. And like I said, when it's full, you get an extra free item. Now you can do almost any machine can have a module. As we tried, the productivity module won't go in what the game considers like end products, which I was not aware of this obviously, but it considers a speed module an end product. But the intermediate products, which actually you can look at because in the crafting menu, they have their own tab. So the intermediate products is what you can put your productivity modules in. So any of these things, gear wheels, iron sticks, barrels, any of these things, you can get extra ones every once in a while by using a productivity module. The speed modules and the efficiency modules, you can put in any machine that accepts modules, which, like I said, I think most machines do. You can put, for example, if we, it's quite a walk. I was going to walk over to a mining drill, but you can put speed modules in a mining drill and then they will just mine faster. You can also put efficiency modules in a mining drill and they will use less energy to do that. So you can tweak how all your machines work just by putting different modules in them, and it could be pretty useful.
And it looked like you have a couple slots. Does that change per what you're looking at? Some things will have more slots than others, or is that just pretty typical, 2 slots?
I believe most things have 2 slots. I honestly haven't really played with modules that much, so I don't have a complete knowledge of them, but I believe most things will just have the 2 slots. Possibly, I think there are a few items that may have 3. But
So I
usually
see.
you can assume there'll be 2.
I see a big reason for the energy, or I'm sorry, efficiency module, because you don't really have, as far as I can see, you don't have a downside for that one, because it's just energy
True.
consumption down, other than the resources it
Right.
takes. Whereas the other
So
two
it's
have
funny.
yeah, they seem to have a downside. But go ahead.
Right. Well, so it's funny you say that because that's kind of the first, you know, inkling is to say, oh, I can just cut my power use. And as I said, people have done math on this and that, and there's like a common accepted usage of modules this or that way. Most people, if you watch other YouTubers and stuff, when they use modules, they won't use efficiency modules at all because they figure what is a little extra power with just like a one-time cost to build a solar panel or a boiler. And whereas a productivity module gives me a free item every whatever. And if you use, like, for example, this, we were just talking about how these processing units cost a lot of resources. You got all of these green circuits and all these red circuits. And if I get a free one, that's worth, you know, all of the material that it had to go to make it. So obviously you can do whatever you want, but a lot of people will just not use efficiency modules at all, just build an extra line of steam engines or whatever, and more go for the free item, or even the, like, if you're running low on iron per second to get through your base, if your base is really just chewing out iron and you have enough mines, but maybe you just need them to work faster, then you go with the speed modules. So there's all different theories and things people do to go one way or another.
Yeah. Well, I am a resource conservation or hoarder, and in my mind, the power consumption matters because you have to burn through more coal or what have you to power things. So I don't know. Maybe that's not the mathematical way to do things, but to me, that seems to make a little bit of sense in and of itself. But I guess I'm new to the game.
I don't purport to know the best way to do things. You're right. You do have to burn fuel to generate energy. We haven't actually gotten to solar power yet. So eventually you can build a solar panel, which is a one-time cost, and then you just have power. You spent the energy to make the solar panel, and now that just generates power. So there's that whole theory.
There is a day-night cycle, though, correct?
That's true. So we haven't really gotten into this, but basically, and maybe that's a good thing for possibly the next episode or another one shortly, but you'll build a bunch of solar panels, and then you'll build these things called accumulators, which we've also researched, which are basically batteries. So you build a big field of solar panels and then a big field of accumulators, and then you can use the accumulators to get yourself through the nighttime. And again, this is Factorio after all. There's an ideal ratio and all these other things, but that way, a lot of people, what they'll do is when they get their solar panel and accumulator setup built, they will completely destruct their steam engine column because they want to use the coal for something else. Usually plastic is your main use of coal, but you know, they don't want to have to deal with using up coal when I can just plop a solar panel and store it in a battery for overnight.
Okay, that was a question I was going to raise. If you didn't already address it, was do you dismantle the coal once you get your solar panel? But I guess that is indeed what people do.
Yeah, that's and often what I will do actually is leave some of it up because, you know, let's say you're building your base and you forget to build more solar panels when you need to, and then if you have no backup power, then you're just kind of hosed. So a lot of people sometimes will leave a little bit of steam power. You can do fancy things with circuit networks and switches and all kinds of stuff, so it only turns on when you want it to, all these other things. So you can dismantle it all, you can do whatever you want with it.
Right, looks like we're gonna have to pick up this robot.
Yeah, it's unfortunately in the way.
I'll replace it.
So here we go. Now we have our gold science. I gotta figure out where I want to drag it down. See where I lined them up. But this is good because now we'll have, I believe there's one other science pack that we'll need to work on, but we might not need to work on that right away. And this will get us into some of the nicer later game technologies. I found a broken belt. Fix that while I'm here. There we go. And we were talking a little bit about combat, and one of the reasons I've put it off so far, partially is because I don't really like it that much, but also because combat gets interesting.
Ow.
Oops, sorry. Okay, there we go. Partially because combat gets interesting once you get the fancy technologies, and you need some of these better science packs to do the fancy technologies. So now that we have this, we are getting a lot closer to being able to do some combat stuff, which will be fun. I'll just run down here and connect this in. Let's see, now we can actually do some gold science. So let's take a look on the research screen here. Let's do logistics system. We talked a little bit about that before, but we can get that researched and talk about it some more. Some of you viewers may notice that the bus is a lot more filled out than it was at the end of the last episode. Between our recording sessions, I spent a bit of time just kind of cleaning things up, making them a bit neater. Oops, that's not how I need it. There we go. And once we have now that we have the robots, building this whole big bus is much, much easier. Just kind of tell the robots to do it, and I didn't actually have to do that much work myself, which is handy. I'm gonna hide by the pipe so my mouse doesn't run me over.
Yeah, normally I go up top so I don't run into anything because it's very easy to do. There we go. And one thing, ooh, hey, we got an achievement.
We did. We got an achievement related to these processing units, these new things we've been working on.
Oh, wasn't paying attention there. That's all right. Now we've got robots to take care of my boo-boos. Poor robot's gonna follow my car around to the ends of the earth trying to repair it.
Yeah, that generally will happen.
Okay, it looks like I took care of this. One thing I've been working on is trying to make sure all of our train stations have fuel for our trains so that they do not run out. I only have one station left to do, and that is over at the bar base.
Yeah, so you're talking about resource input on as far as inserters, but another thing I just noticed was happening was we're building enough copper cable for this gold science setup, but the transport belt was not fast enough to have it all carried in a good amount of time. So I actually had to just upgrade a bunch of belt in this gold science area to red belt to make sure the copper cable would actually get all the way down to that last assembling machine. So as we get farther into this end game, you start running into these issues that we didn't necessarily have previously. It was, okay, are my inserters fast enough? Do I have enough throughput on my belts? Stuff like that. And in my opinion, this is where the game gets really interesting because you go from kind of accepted layouts that a lot of people use, kind of like, all right, you just build this and you get it connected and it works, to, all right, how do I really make sure this actually works? Because I'm dealing with so much material per second or whatever that you really need to think about it.
I forgot which side of the track we normally move on. I hope I'm going down the right side.
We drive on, I believe we set this save up to drive on the left.
Yeah, I think I'm doing that. Messes with my American brain that I driving on the wrong side of the road.
I just like having the signals on the inside.
Guess I'll just have to remind myself it's like Euro Truck Simulator. You ever played that?
I've played, ironically, I've played the American version of it. But that looks like our time for this episode.
Oops. All right. Yep. All right. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This is Mouse Gunner and Rotype signing out.